Most guitar players think that what they need to do in order to get better is to learn more songs and more solos from other guitarists. But what they actually want to do is improvise, jam and play their own ideas. In this lesson I'm going to show you the 4 techniques that you need to take any sound in your head and make it become a reality on your guitar. Let's get into it. In guitar playing there is an entire host of guitar techniques, but you can boil them down to these 4 areas that I talk about in my complete system that will allow you to play most things. They are legato playing, which is based on using things like hammer-ons, pull-offs and slides. Alternate picking, which requires you to use your pick in alternate directions, downstrokes followed by upstrokes. Sweep picking, which we generally use with arpeggios and triads where you're playing 1 note per string, a bit like this. And tapping, where what you're going to do is take at least 1 digit from your picking hand and use that to execute notes in the Eddie Van Halen style, a bit like this. Now, to become the ultimate guitar soloist, what you want to be able to do is combine these 4 chief areas with a great knowledge of your fretboard and then being able to develop that all into a musical vocabulary that you can use over any chords, any backing, whether that's a backing track or with your band, whatever you want to do. I've put all that together into a program at Cutting Edge Guitar that you can access entirely for free. Just go to the link in the description. You can get that course right now. So what we're going to do in the lesson, we're going to go through these 4 chief technique areas. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an idea that you could use, and then I'm going to put this into some context over a backing track. Now what you see, this is a run which is in the style of players like Paul Gilbert, Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, any kind of modern rock guitar player like that you could imagine. Now when you play it all together, it comes out like this. But what you should do, a really key takeaway with something like this, is that there are mini exercises inside this run that you can play that will help you build your technique. So the first one that you've got here is this little fragment. So 4, 5, 7 on your D string, 4 on the G string. Now if you come back after that, D7, 5, 4, okay, so we're going to do... Basically, it brings you back to where you were at the beginning. Now, that is a looped exercise that you can play like this. Now, that's a really great exercise for building your legato facility. Now, something that a lot of people miss when they are working on this technique, they think about just doing hammers and pulls and building up their speed, but they don't think about keeping it clean, making it sound good. So what you need to do is make sure that your first finger, when you're playing any note, is stubbing up to the adjacent string. So what this will be now doing is muting my 5th string. Okay, now I'm also using the underside of this finger to mute my G string, B string and high E string. So that means that if I play that 4th fret on my D string, I'm not hearing any of the other notes. Now the other thing is I can't keep my E string quiet with that first finger, so that's where picking hand muting comes in. So I would just use the heel of my palm on the E string there to keep that completely quiet. Now as I'm moving through the exercise like this, what I'm aiming to do is make sure that my first finger frets in a way to keep all of the strings muted, and I'm also using my picking hand to keep that muted too. This is a really key and important miss with this technique, and again I go much deeper in that in the free system that you can get in the link in the description. Okay, another exercise that you can chop out of this is if you was to put these first 2 beats entirely together, so these 2 groups of 6, you would get this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You turn those into a looped exercise. This one works really well too. Now how you turn that into an exercise that can benefit you all over the fretboard is you want to be able to plug that in to all of the various different positions of the 3 notes per string system. Now if you don't know the 3 notes per string system, well, that is one of the parts of phase 1 of my free system, learning the fretboard. I talk about the caged system, 3 notes per string, all of that good stuff. So again, go to the links in the description, make sure you get hold of that free system. Now the thing is with learning a legato concept like this, playing it on its own, it kind of means nothing. It's only when you can put this into context over a backing track and give it an intro or an outro, some kind of way that you can imagine you would be using it in your improvisation, that it becomes an actual musical lick or line. So let's have a look at that over an A minor backing track. Okay, the next area that we need to cover in order to get your technique completely down is alternate picking. So what you can see on the screen in front of you right now is we are looking at a sextuplet line that is being played, or sextuplet run even, this isn't a line, this is a run. So this is being played in shape 7 of A Dorian. The full scale looks like this. The reason I'm playing it in A Dorian and not G major is because when I demonstrate this in a minute, I'm going to be playing this over an A minor backing track. So this is A Dorian. Again, if you don't understand modes and don't know how to use them and deploy them, get the free system that's in the link in the description. So what we're going to do with this is we're looking at playing a doubled up sextuplet idea. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the bottom 2 strings of that scale form, and then I'm going to start that pattern again. So I'll start it on the 6th string, but then do it on the A string. So you get, that's what I mean by doubling. So I'm doubling up the notes on the 5th string. And then you just take that all the way through the shape. Now what I've done on this, I've put a little exit on there, which is actually a legato exit. So I've got a way of getting out of it. Now when I play this over the backing track, I'm going to do a couple of other different bits and bobs. I'm just going to improvise and just see how this comes out. But what you're seeing here, a couple of important points. The fretting hand needs to be set up in the same way that I was doing things with the legato technique. Now that's why I recommend with all of my students over at Cutting Edge Guitar, whether they're people who are taking lessons with me or they're people that are following the course programs and what have you, is that you do the legato work first. Because when you do your legato work, you train your fretting hand to be proficient. Once you've trained your fretting hand to be proficient, when you want to get the sound of that aggressive alternate picking technique, you're just inserting the pick into things that your fretting hand can already do. We play this particular idea. Another thing that's very important is looking at your pick grip, okay? A lot of people get this pick grip wrong. Now what you want to do is make sure that your pick is on the side of your finger. And then some people like to grip the pick with a couple of fingers like this. I don't personally recommend that, but if you're James Hetfield, you know, you would disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. But where I've got my pick grip from is studying players like Paul Gilbert, Guthrie Govan, John Petrucci, Vinnie Moore. So over a lot of extensive research into the pick grip idea, what I came up with is that most players, that modern rock shred type guitar players, play with the pick on the side of this finger and pointing out slightly at an angle so that the tip looks as if it would be pointing through this shiny part of your nail. What this facilitates is that when you come over to your guitar, it will set up a 45-degree picking angle so that your pick slices through the string rather than hits it dead on, which would make it resist. Let's check out this run in context against a backing track. Okay, the next area we want to talk about is sweep picking. Now, most people have a bit of a bugbear with sweep picking because they think it just leads to people literally playing up and down arpeggios like this. Now, arpeggios are a musical device that we can execute with this technique, but what I would suggest is that you don't overlook sweep picking, because examples like I've put on the screen here, these will be almost impossible to play without being able to sweep pick. So what we're looking at doing is playing intervallic jumps of fourths. Now fourths are very hard to play on the guitar because you're generally rolling across different strings. So I'm starting on a D, and then I'm going to go to a G, and then from the G I'm going to go to a C. So they are all notes that are a fourth apart. Now, two things that are at play here. First, I've got to roll my first finger to get the note separation, but also with my pick, what I'm doing, I'm going up, down, down, which is like a Frank Gambale-esque style sweep pick. Then, of course, when I'm going to the 7th fret, I'm now going to start on an A, and I'm going to go from A to D, then we're going to play a G, and then finally a C. So these are all fourths as well. So to play that passage of fourths, the technique that I want is to go up, down, down, up, down, down, down. Okay, now what I've put on the end there is I'm going off to my A, then bending up that C, because of course we're like in A minor. But sweep picking is vital if you want to be able to play difficult intervallic leaps like fourths, triads, arpeggios, and anything that generally has one note on a string. So let's listen to this fourths idea in context against the track. Okay, now the last area that we want to talk about in this lesson is tapping. Now tapping gets a bit of a bad rep because a lot of guitar players tend to overuse this technique in terms of like trying to show off. And when I say a lot of guitar players, what I'm talking about is people that are playing down at the local jam or pub gigs or things like that, and they throw it in a way that a lot of people would deem it unmusical. This is a big topic of debate, which I probably don't want to get into in this video, but it is one of these polarizing techniques that people tend to say guitarists that use it don't have any feel. I personally disagree. There is a way to use tapping in a way that has feel, and I would probably argue here at this point that not all feelings have to be slow, sad and bluesy. Some feelings are exciting, powerful, show great meaning. Some feelings like need a lot of notes in order to get them out. Now the thing is with this, when Eddie Van Halen came up with this, or anyone else who's using the technique, they're generally not using it to try to show off. What they're doing is they're trying to play bubbly sounding ideas that require a large stretch, which means it's very difficult to do with one hand. So the idea that I've put up on the screen right now, what we're doing is we're basically in the left hand, the fretting hand, my left hand, we're going to be using A minor pentatonic. But in my right hand, I'm going to be outlining the sound of E minor pentatonic. Now when you play these together, what you get is this really bubbly effect of playing intervals that are a fifth apart. Now when you're playing these kind of ideas, they do obviously sound more effective if you play them up to speed. Now the whole point of discussing this here is that if you want these wide intervallic bubbly sounds, if you don't study the art of tapping, you will never be able to get them. They're just sounds that will be completely alien to you. Let's take a listen to this idea in context against the track. To a point where you can use these four technical areas in a way to play all the music that you want to. First and foremost, you need to know where you're going on your fretboard, and then you need to be able to take this technique into a structured program to learn how to use it all, and then finally develop that into a working musical vocabulary that you can use over a backing track with your band or whatever it is that you want to do. Now in my free system, the Cutting Edge Guitar Soloing Method, I've put all of this together in a structured program that you can get through in a matter of days, and it will show you exactly how to put all of this together. All you have to do is go to the link in the description, grab your copy of that, and I'll show you everything that you need to do. If you've enjoyed the video, do give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in another lesson sometime soon. Take care.